It's time for part 5 of Can a British Falconer Pass an American Falconry Exam? So, this section of the exam is all about and titled Health, which should be a strong point of mine, considering what I studied at university, but let's see how this goes. So, question 1. Electrocution is often a preventable death in raptors. To help prevent electrocution, a falconer should A. Avoid flying near single-phase transmission lines with ground wires attached to the top wire. B. Avoid flying around transformers with uninsulated pigtail wires. C. Not release their bird if unsure of the danger. D. All of the above. Well, for this one, I'm going to say D, all of the above, because power lines is just something we should all be conscious of whilst flying birds, and there's lots of different risks and there's lots of different science to how it will affect the birds. So I'm just going to say D, that it's something that we should be conscious of all of the time. Correct. Excellent. Here goes the first one. Lovely. 2. Aspergillosis affects the A. Digestive system, B. Nervous system, C. Respiratory system, D. Plumage. Right, well this is now an interesting one. So it's interesting because Aspergillus, which is a fungal spore which causes aspergillosis in birds, can affect the birds in 2 different ways. The majority of the time it will affect the birds through a respiratory condition, a respiratory infection. And so they breathe in the fungal spores and then they get a fungal infection in their air sacs and lungs, which causes something called air saculitis. But also it has been known and noted that Aspergillus can cause an infection in the digestive system. So this question is strange because it lists both digestive system and respiratory system, but it doesn't give you an answer that allows you to pick multiple of the above. Definitely doesn't affect the nervous system, definitely doesn't affect their plumage. So because respiratory is by far the most common type, I'm going to go with C, respiratory system. Correct. Excellent. Right. I need to pour myself another reward. Carefully does it so we don't froth over. Three. Internal parasites affect the A. Digestive system, B. Nervous system, C. Respiratory system, D. Plumage. Now there's lots of different parasites and parasitic infections that you have to look out for when owning and looking after birds of prey. But internally, most likely they're going to affect the digestive system. So I'm going to go with A, digestive system. Correct. Lovely. Question 4. Frounce affects the A, digestive system, B, nervous system, C, respiratory system, D, plumage. So frounce is a condition which is more scientifically known as trichomoniasis, and so it affects the birds, and usually you can tell if you look inside the bird's beak, it appears as sort of white, kind of plaquey looking sores around the inside of their beak. A lot of times they get it through other birds. If you're feeding things like pigeon and you haven't removed the crop and the head, you can give your birds frounce. A lot of people believe that you can freeze the food that you're going to give them and that kills off the frounce. I'm not so sure if freezing does kill them off, but I'm going to say A, the digestive system. Correct. Lovely. Oh, we need another one now. 5. The bird most likely to suffer from fits is A peregrine falcon, B, a red-tailed hawk, C, a sharp-shinned hawk, D, a merlin. That's an interesting one. All birds can suffer from fits. So I think if we ignore sort of species here, we're looking at A and D are both falcons, B is a buzzard, and C is a true hawk. I'm going to say that the true hawks are probably most likely to suffer from fits. I've not looked into the full scientific background as to why. I just know that they tend to be, from what I've heard, that's usually the most common type of bird that people have said they've had issues with this in the past. So I'm going to go C, a sharp-shinned hawk. Correct. 7. The most common disease your bird could acquire from a wild mourning dove is A, aspergillosis, C, coccidiosis, C, Frounce, D, pneumonia. So we've already discussed this with an earlier question. Here in the UK, a lot of people, their birds can get that infection from pigeons, and a dove is basically just a white pigeon. So I'm going to say that the answer would be C, Frounce. Correct. 8. Bumblefoot may be caused by A, poor diet and husbandry, B, poorly designed perches, C, daily hunting, D, A and B above. So bumblefoot is an infection in the foot. It's more scientifically known as pododermatitis. And so there are different stages to bumblefoot, starting off with a sort of sore on the foot, which can get infected, and then that can lead to an infection in the tissue in the foot, and then if left, it can progress, and that infection can travel up through the bone in the leg to then infect the whole bird, the whole body of the bird. So even though it can look like a little sore on the bottom of the foot, if it's left ignored and untreated, it can be pretty severe for the bird. So it's something you really need to watch out for, and you need to make sure that you have properly designed aviaries with suitable perching surfaces. Pardon me. We don't want loads of just nicely smooth surfaces on their... Oh, pardon me again. On their perching, because that's when it can lead to sores and things. That's why we use even natural looking perching. Like I just chopped down a load of logs from the woods that I have permissions to be on. A lot of people use astroturf because it provides a nice sort of varied surface to keep the foot from rubbing and getting any kind of sores on. Poor diet, poorly designed perches, daily hunting, you're not really going to get bumblefoot from daily hunting. So I'm going to say D, A and B above. Correct. 9. Your bird is at the low end of its flying weight, so you feed him a large meal. That's weird that it would say in a falconry exam, him. Typically in falconry, they're all referred to as she or her. So it's weird that it's him. Feed him a large meal. The next day, he still has a crop and foul-smelling breath. You recognise this as sour crop. Your first treatment should be A, extract the contents of the crop. B, contact your avian veterinarian immediately and inform your sponsor. C, administer IV antibiotics. D, Ancobon. D, Ancobon. Right, okay, so if you're smelling a really foul sort of smell from your bird, from their beak and from their crop. Don't try and start doing a load of things by yourself. I think it's nice to think that as an animal keeper you want to do the best for your bird, and you think that you can do the best for your bird and do things yourself. But if there is an issue, just don't try and do it yourself. Just get to your vet is the best thing to do. It's the best thing to do for any animal you own, any animal you care for. Get them to your proper vet who can deal with them and care for them properly in the way they need it. So I am going to say B, contact your avian vet. Correct. 10. Your bird feeks after eating and warbles on its perch. You notice that he tends to stand on one leg. These behaviours tend to indicate A, frownce, B, sour crop, C, a content, healthy bird, B, apoplexy. So if they're wobbling on the perch and standing on one leg, then usually there's the signs of a nice, relaxed, happy bird. So, I mean, it's important to know your bird, and it's important to know their behaviours, when they do things and when they don't do things. Probably more importantly, when they don't do things rather than when they do things with a bird of prey. But I'm going to say C, a content and healthy bird. Correct. Question 11. Your bird exhibits gradual weight loss, poor appetite and lethargy. His mutes appear normal and his mouth, throat and feet appear normal. Your bird most likely suffers from A, lead poisoning, B, frownce, C, parasites, D, any of the above. Okay, so with birds there's certain things we have to look out for, and this question actually lists some of the things that we do look out for. So weight loss, obviously we're managing the weights, we're keeping track of their weights. One of the reasons we do that is to check their health. Poor appetite, obviously if your bird is sort of losing weight but doesn't really have much of an appetite, then there's something going wrong. And lethargy, so something I look out for every morning is something called almond eyes. So when I go and walk up all the birds and check all of them, I check for almond eyes, and almond eyes basically means that they don't have bright, open, round, shiny eyes. They've got half-closed, almond-shaped looking eyes, and that can be an indication that they're not particularly well. So if your bird is showing all of these, there is no way for you to tell what is actually going wrong, so I'm going to go for D, any of the above. Correct. 12. While raising your first IAS, you notice it has developed bent legs. He then starts stargazing. You could have prevented this problem by A, feeding him a diet of whole birds or small mammals, B, supplementing his diet with vitamin D3, calcium and phosphorus, C, feeding more chicken, D, A and B above. Right, okay, so bent legs is caused by... Right, okay, so I'm going to have to go through a lot of science now. But as I said at the start, this is my area of expertise, is the health. So I'm going to go through a lot of science with you. So bones are made up of two components. There are collagen fibres, and collagen is a protein, and so the collagen fibres are wrapped around and around and around, and that gives flex to the bones. It makes them flexible and slightly bendy. And then the bit that makes them more sturdy is a mineral called calcium phosphorate. So you have calcium phosphates and you have proteins, and a mix of both of those gives us the bones that we have. If you have not enough of the protein and not enough of the collagen fibres and too much calcium phosphates, then you end up with brittle bones. They lose their flexibility and they break and shatter easily. Whereas the opposite end of the scale, if you have a good amount of the protein that gives the flexibility and you do not have the correct ratio of calcium to phosphorus to make the proper minerals of calcium phosphates, you'll end up with flexible bones. And this is a condition called metabolic bone disease. Now, in biology, to absorb the calcium into our body, we need vitamin D3. As humans, we get that from the sun. So our skin absorbs the sunlight, and that promotes the synthesis of vitamin D3, which allows our body to absorb and synthesize the calcium, allowing us to have the correct calcium-phosphorus ratio for our bones. If you're not getting that, then you're going to end up with more protein in your bones, the collagen fibers, which is going to give you more flexible bones. So that is where we end up with this question with bent legs. So if the bird is not getting enough of the minerals and it's got enough of the protein, it's going to end up with flexible bones. So then the weight of the own bird's body is going to push down on its legs and its wings, and it's going to give your bird bent legs, which is in human terms rickets. In animal terms we call it metabolic bone disease. So I'm going to say for this particular question, I'm going to say A and B above, which is supplementing the diet with vitamin D3, calcium and phosphorus, but also it's just really helpful to give your birds a full carcass, like a full carcass. If you're giving birds a bird to eat, that bird that you're giving your bird to eat has got every nutrient available to create that bird. So it has every nutrient available to keep your bird and your chick healthy, and I as a chick to keep it healthy. So I'm going to say D, A and B above. Correct. Oh, you stupid fucking idiot. 13. Your bird suffers a broken leg while crashing into thick cover. The small town you live in has no veterinarian with any experience in raptor medicine. The best way to prevent this scenario is A. Not ever hunt your bird. B. Only lure fly your bird. C. Locate a raptor veterinarian prior to obtaining your bird. D. Hunt only where there is no cover. So for this one I'm going to say C, and I don't think it has anything to do with where you live or what you're going to do with your bird. Before you own a bird, you should be finding and locating and registering with an avian specialist veterinarian. So no matter what you're going to do with your bird, find yourself a specialist vet beforehand. So C. Correct. Ready? Here we go. 14. An American kestrel is most likely to die from A. Frounce, B. Aspergillosis, C. Poor weight control, D. Sauerkraut. Right, okay, so for this one, I'm planning to make a future video on this actually, about what is the biggest killer of captive birds. But when it comes to kestrels, I mean, people often ask me, what's the best bird I should get, or is this the best bird I should get as a beginner? Is this bird the best bird I should get as a beginner? And I always say no, because they always go for small birds. Pardon me. Everybody seems to or think that a small bird is the best first bird, and I hugely disagree. So the best first bird is one that you can easily weight manage, because that's how falconry training is done. Unless you're, Jesus Christ, pardon me again. Unless you're willing to scrap off this whole medieval, stupid falconry techniques of training a bird of prey and actually go for a positive method of training that's done off modern science. If you're going off falconry, don't get a small bird as your first bird, because the margin of error when it comes to managing weights is so tiny compared to a larger bird that it's going to cause you so many more issues. So, where was I? I've lost where I am. Oh, for goodness sake, it's completely scrolled past where. So, I'm going to say C, poor weight control. Correct. 15. Your new passage bird has lice crawling on its feathers. You should A, administer intravenous... Hang on. A, administer... I can't say this after how much I've drunk. A, administer intravenous ivermectin. B, release the bird as it's not likely to survive. C, transport the bird to the nearest raptor veterinarian for extensive therapy. D, treat the bird with 2% sevin dust. Okay, interesting. Definitely don't administer anything intravenously with your own hawk. Just don't do that, seriously. I feel like it's strange that that's even an answer. It's strange that I even have to bring it up. Do not try and inject anything into your own hawk. Don't do that. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you think the best thing to do is to inject your own hawk, stop, think about your own life choices, and call your vet instead. B, release the bird as it's not likely to survive. Look, birds get mites. Birds get lice, birds get mites. It's not going to survive because it's got some lice or mites. Stop being such a sissy about it. C, and D, D, I'm not sure about. That's not something I've heard or come across. I would say that you should probably get your bird to the vet. But the thing that confuses me about this question is for extensive therapy. A bird with lice or mites does not need extensive therapy. It needs a small treatment. I use just a spray. If my birds ever get any kind of lice or mites, because my birds are travelling around lots of different places, I just spray their feathers with an anti-mite or an anti-lice thing. So for extensive therapy is a bit extreme, but because I don't know what D really is talking about, I'm going to go for C. No, incorrect. Oh, okay, it does want D. Interesting. Okay, no reward for me. 16. Your bird mutes on your kitchen floor. You notice a white object moving in the mute. You should A, take the bird to the vet for a fecal float. B, take the bird to the vet to get suitable treatment for internal parasites. C, call your sponsor and ask for advice. D, any of the above. So if your bird coughs up a pellet or a cast or a mute, and there was something white moving around inside of it, I, to be honest, would just do all of these things. I mean, we don't have sponsors here in the UK, but I would get my bird to the vet for some kind of treatment, and as an American Falconer, which is what this quiz is sort of designed towards, as well as getting my bird to the vet, I would also call my sponsor. So I'm going to say D, any of the above. Correct. 17. A diet of freshly trapped wild pigeon carries the risk of A, frounce, B, aspergillosis, C, avian herpes virus, D, A and C. So it's unlikely that a bird would get aspergillosis through eating another bird, but as we discussed earlier on, that's how it can lead to sort of digestive system issues. But because this one has other questions that I also agree with, I think they're kind of discounting digestive system infections for aspergillosis. So I'm going to go for both A and C, which is France and avian herpes virus. So I'm going to go D. Correct. Shit the bed. Just poured it all over the place. I need my jug. 18. Cheesy... What? 18. Cheesy plaques in the mouth, weight loss, and flicking food are signs of A. Coccidiosis, B. Frounce, C. Aspergillosis, D. Apoplexy. So we've already kind of discussed this in another question previously, which seems to be a running theme for these exam questions. So the sort of plaque things in the mouth is typically a sign of Frounce, trichomoniasis. So I'm going to go B, Frounce. Correct. 19. While flying a bird, a wild raptor comes in and grabs you. While flying your bird, a wild raptor comes in and grabs with your bird. When you retrieve your bird, you notice blood on its thigh. You should A. Give Pedialyte and apply a bandage to the leg. B. Apply a topical antibiotic and take your bird to a vet for further evaluation. C. Do a fecal float. D. Administer piperazine. Well, like all the other questions, like we've said many times on this channel before and in this exam, if you think there's something wrong, take your bird to the vet. So I'm going to say B, take your bird to a vet for further evaluation. Answer B, correct. If you haven't worked out already, if there is an issue with your bird, take it to the vet. It seems simple, but for some reason this exam really wants to make sure that you know that. You should already know that. If there is a problem with your bird, take it to a vet. 20. A green mute may be indicative, oh that's a fancy word. A green mute may be indicative of A, a healthy bird that has not eaten for 36 hours, B, aspergillosis, C, coccidiosis, D, A and B above. So I don't know of aspergillus infections causing a change in the mutes, but if your bird has not eaten for a while, it might come up with a sort of greenish kind of mute. I say come up with a mute is a poo, so it might come out with a kind of like a greenish kind of mute, and coccidiosis is a digestive system infection, so again if they're coming out with really greenish kind of mutes, then maybe you should be paying a bit more attention to it. So I would say that D, A and B above. Correct. 21. A good way to judge a raptor's condition and health is A. To maintain daily weight records. B. Examine the bird's mutes. C. Note alertness of the bird. D. All of the above. Maintain daily weight records, examine the mutes, note alertness, all of them. I'm going to say that you should be noting all of them. You should know your own bird, you should know everything about your own bird. you should be checking all of these to know that you are keeping your bird in the correct condition and that she's healthy. So I'm going to say D, all of the above. Correct. Correct comes with a big ol' answer now. Answer D. The falconer should be vigilant for any change in his or her bird condition or the colour and texture of the bird's mute. Castings should also be regularly examined. The best signs and symptoms of a sick hawk are 1. Weight loss, 2. A puffy look around the eyes and listlessness, 3. Disgorging of food from the crop and discoloured mutes, 4. Tearing at food but flicking it away, 4 again for some reason, ropey saliva and fatigued casting. Okay, well, all of that's very interesting. Okay, 22. A diet made up of exclusively of freshly killed rodents would be A. Excellent for red-tailed hawks, red-shouldered hawks and American kestrels. B. Poor for any raptor since it lacks feathers. C. Any diet that is exclusive is not optimal. D. Would cause serious constipation problems. God, right, okay, we're going to have to break this one down, aren't we? A diet that is made up exclusively of freshly killed rodents. This is where it really starts to get difficult when I've had enough rewards. It gets difficult to concentrate and difficult to read the bloody questions. A diet made up exclusively of freshly killed rodents would be excellent for red tails, red-shouldered hawks, American kestrels. Poor for any raptor since it lacks feathers. Ignore that because it has fur, and fur is perfectly good casting material. It doesn't always have to be feathers. Fur can be casting, so let's rule out B. A diet that is exclusive is not optimal. Yes and no. I prefer a varied diet, but also birds can survive perfectly healthy off the same thing, providing it's a full carcass, which is what this is saying for, and it's a full carcass, so I'm gonna rule out C. Would cause serious constipation problems, which is just, I don't know, that's not really a thing. Okay, I'm gonna go for A. Correct. And it also comes with a big long answer. Okay, here we go. This approximates their wild diet and oh god, this is really getting difficult. This approximates their wild diets and contains all the vitamins, nutrients and roughage they require. A varied diet is optimal. Alternating between mice and rats is best because of greater muscle mass and rats. Alternating between rats and mice is best because of greater muscle mass in rats and smaller, more digestible bones in mice. Previously frozen and stored food should be supplemented with vitamins. Yeah, okay. All I got from any of that is that I should take a reward. (23) True or false? It is best to feed your bird whole prey with intestines intact because intestines are rich sources of vitamins. Okay. I don't really see how an intestine is a rich source of vitamins. I'm going to say false, because intestines, to be honest, are just a bigger risk of infections. So I'm going to say false. Answer false. Okay, correct. 24. True or false? In a pinch, it's okay to give hamburger to your raptor to hold them over until a proper meal is available. No, don't bother with that. Get your hawk a proper diet. I'm going to say false. False. Answer false. Yeah, correct. Actually, I didn't take one for the last question, so I need 2 rewards. 2 rewards now. 25. True or false? A hawk with ice on its feathers should be taken into a warm place until dried off. Of course! If your hawk has ice on its feathers, Jesus Christ, take it into a warm place. The issues, oh my god, what animal? I mean, there are certain extremophile animals that live in incredibly icy conditions, but if your hawk has ice on its feathers, get it somewhere warm. Jesus Christ, I hope that's true. Answer true. Yeah, of course. Jesus Christ. 26. I need a fucking reward. Shit the bed. The sun is going down. It's getting darker and harder to film. Hurry up now. 26. True or false? Hypothermia is below normal body temperature. Right, okay, so there's hypothermia and hyperthermia. This question is written as hypothermia. Hypothermia is where you get far too cold. Hyperthermia is where you get far too hot. So hypothermia being below body temperature is true. So, 26, true, correct. So that was that section of the quiz, the health section of the quiz. That was only half of it actually. So I could do another half if you would like to see me do another half and drink in the middle of the daytime for your entertainment whilst taking a quiz, but also attempting to educate all of you about the answers, then please leave a like and a comment. Likes and comments hugely help videos on YouTube, so please do that. If you would really like to help me out, then go and comment on all of the videos I've ever made in the past, because it will really help me out. Watch the next video, perhaps. Thank you for watching. I think we're done. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, watch all the next videos, leave a like and comment. Thank you for watching.